So welcome to the town of Deerfield Selectboard Board of Health Sewer Commissioners meeting for January 7th, 2026. The time is 6 p.m. This is a hybrid meeting, both on Zoom and in the main meeting room at 8 Common Street, South Deerfield, Mass. This meeting will be held in a hybrid fashion with the opportunity for both in-person attendance and remote participation. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting or hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with a particular interest in any specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. The meeting will be held in person in the main meeting room of Deerfield Municipal Offices in accordance with general law, Mass General Law. Anyone intending to record the meeting must identify themselves to the clerk and provide this for the record. So I'll call the meeting to order, and I'm going to hold on public comment until after. But we're so excited to have appearance today by a wonderful Senator Joe Comerford. So welcome to you. We're so happy you could join us, and Happy New Year.
Thank you so much. Happy New Year to you.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for the work of this select board in town. I have
It's
to
a great
say,
partnership.
as I was, it has been a really great 7-year partnership, but as I was coming through, I was, look at this. You know, with the construction at night, you know,
Yeah.
I can do during the day a lot, you know,
Sure.
but at night, I'm not here as much at night, and with all the construction lights on, it looks,
Yeah.
it's what is happening, like a metropolis.
I know, with your help.
I'm waiting for you to fix Elm Street so that I don't have potholes.
Yeah.
Yes,
A lot
yes.
going on.
There's a lot going on,
Yeah.
and really a credit to the town.
Thank you.
And the select board and everyone.
Yes, it's a great team, and
It's a great team.
great team with the state reps and senator and
God bless Natalie Blake.
yes,
And I forget.
exactly. And Jim. Trevor.
Jim.
Yep. Very, very happy. So, yeah, so welcome. Love to
Thank you
hear,
so
from
much.
you and what's going on at the state.
Thanks for affording me the time, truly. And, you know, you know this about me, but I do believe municipal governance is the hardest there is. It really makes what Jim and Natalie and I do look like cupcakeville, right? Balancing the needs of town and dealing with state regulations and laws and federal regulations and laws is really difficult. And so I just want to acknowledge that. I have a whole bunch of updates. I'm happy to hear. Okay, I'm happy, but we'll just start there. And then
Sure.
just let's make this more of a conversation.
Of course.
That you can, you know, certainly hold me to whatever you'd like to hear from. I want to start with education funding. It's been something that Deerfield has talked to me about a lot, and then Natalie about a lot. And when I say we can hear we, because really nothing happens in the state legislature for Deerfield without Natalie, without Ripley.
Wonderful.
So, you know, what's true is we have to open chapter 7. That is true. The Student Opportunity Act was an important bill passed in 2017. The Foundation Budget Review Commission was opened in 2015. That's a decade ago, more than a decade ago. It's time we look at it again, right? And we have to look at it with declining enrollment in rural schools in mind. We have to look at it with the impact of special education funding and how we're deciding to apportion that money, the impact of regional school transportation, charter schools, vocational schools, all of these things that were left out of the Foundation Budget Review. So I want you to know that that is something I pound we pound the table with, both with our own children, but also with the Healy School administration. I have hope that the governor's fiscal year 2025 budget will include the establishment of a Foundation Budget Review Commission. We've made that formal request more times than I can count. As you know, we've had the Ways and Means hearings out here for the last years, on education and local aid, because they're the most important for us. Not most important, but they're important because they're huge parts of the municipal budget. I will say that there's been a couple of advances, even in that big framework. And thank you for Deerfield's, people of Deerfield's testimony with the target local contribution study. So as you know, education funding is sort of like a clamshell, right? It's chapter 70, what we get. And then the target local contribution, which the state tells us that we can and should pay.
Right.
And that has a lot of assumptions, right? What's the municipal state split? Do we want to cap? Here, Greg knows the Gail folks, Tupper and Mike Knopfler, who have been for a long time, Tupper and Mike Knopfler talking to the state. And now they have a platform to talk about why in the world are we capping Wayland, Weston,
Right.
Arlington, Newton, Cambridge, where they could pay many times over.
Yeah.
So what are we doing here? So there's a lot of levers in that target local contribution study.
And the issues with, people's income as a
Correct.
base, we may be well and good, but we can't attach anything to that. It doesn't really matter how much people pay.
Correct. And that's the target local contribution, right? How do they determine that?
Yeah.
And what are the assumptions in there about wealth?
Right.
Deerfield's a little bit bigger, so one hyper wealthy person doesn't completely throw us out of whack here. But up in Conway and Clever, right, these are places where they're completely destabilized.
Yes.
And they, as you say, are not able to recoup in other ways.
Yes.
So that is a world of options that is deeply in play.
Yeah.
I want you to know.
Thank you.
There was a greenfield, as you know, thank you for being here.
Sure.
There was a greenfield hearing. There have been virtual hearings, our testimony is flowing in, and this is a very good. And we hope to see robust recommendation from the governor on what to do in that part of the plan shift. The other part needs to be addressed. So I just want you to know that's very much present. And in the what we spend is of course rural school aid, and the rural school bill. So Rep. Lane and I have the rural school bill again. In the Senate, that's been reported favorably. Two ways and means, if the town wanted to write anything in support of that, to the Senate President, two ways and means about rural school aid in the fiscal year 27 budget. And or the rural schools bill. That would be useful from the select board.
Right there, deadline on testimony.
No, the governor's budget's the main event now, and will be out in a couple weeks-ish.
Yeah.
And then there'll be ways and means hearings. And then the House will do the budget in April, we'll do the budget in May, but the sooner the better-ish.
Yeah.
Just because you want the bills to move, and we're in the back half.
Not right.
So, those are the advances and still some challenges in education. I will say in the larger delegation, and here, again, deeply in partnership with Natalie, we've been focused on something that I know you're thinking a lot about, which is declining population overall.
Yeah.
And the need to really stimulate an economic base.
Right.
And what that's going to take. So we've been focused a lot on transportation. And as you know, we're pushing hard on Chapter 90.
Yeah.
And we need the infrastructure on, how are we going to welcome individuals, businesses, families without good roads? And so, in terms of, and without public transit. So we've had some advances on that, not enough, because I know the deferred maintenance is monumental, right? For Deerfield, and the expense of paving a road just doesn't, it's laughable. But it's not laughable to you, but like with regard to what we get in Chapter 90.
Yeah.
So I will say that we won't ever go back, at least in times. We're not going to go back to the pure only Chapter 90 grossly unfair algorithm. I think we'll continue to stick to some percentage of this by miles only, which will help us. So I just, any kind of advocacy you wanted to do there is, I think, good advocacy. If you want to do a budget letter, you could include that, please, road miles only.
Yeah.
Or, we did a third of it, could we do more? I think we can. We also spent, Natalie focused a lot on dirt roads, which was really critical. I focused on micro transit. So we got a 10 million boost, first ever, direct grant for micro transit. And so I'm hopeful that in addition to the kind of sustained RTA funding, it's going to be fair free, Ross County, all the stuff that we know about.
Yeah.
That we start to see some greater innovation in the RTAs. You know, FRTA has been doing a great pilot. I was able to work with Linda and fund it through, and Megan and the team through some small earmarks.
Yeah.
You know, 100,000, you know, over these years, and they've done a good pilot. And so my hope is that the state is getting in the business of making this state funding through fair share.
Yeah.
So I think that's important. The north-south rail is quite solidified. The two east-west rail projects, the southern tier is further along, as we know. The northern tier still, though, has great hope.
Wonderful.
And Jim McGovern has been unbelievable as an advocate there.
Yeah.
So that's transportation. In housing, I will say that Rep. Natalie and I had a bill that we were able to pass that would establish a dashboard for housing expenditures. And that just will help us fact check, gut check the amount of money that we're getting relative to other places. And we've also been working with Linda, who's been excellent here. Really, like, you couldn't do anything for us, right?
Wonderful.
This much, right?
Yeah.
To try to work with housing and livable communities around what's called Housing Choices 2.0, which was supposed to be a program that worked well for smaller, more rural communities. In fact, it just didn't. And this is in the larger conversation around how do we really push the Healy Driscoll administration, which doesn't need a whole lot of push, right? They want to do this to see the ways in which there have been systemic blockages to us getting our fair share.
Right.
So the Housing Choices 2.0 program is shifting. I hope this means that more of our municipalities will be open. And I know Deerfield has its own in this, you know, in this downtown campus hope. So I'm excited about that. Again, we're going to hope to hold it all accountable.
Sure.
And then, you know, in the same vein of algorithms that don't work, you know, I know you know the concerns about pilot.
Yeah.
So the governor did actually implement a bill that Natalie and I filed and she stood up a pilot commission. And that is going to start, and both Natalie and I have been appointed. And which is great,
Yeah.
right? And that's really going to gut check two pieces of that formula that I think are broken. I mean, it's just me, but one is the algorithm that really compares Deerfield's land prices to, say, Nantucket, and, you know, makes Deerfield pay essentially by devaluing Deerfield relative to Nantucket based on the statewide average, which I think is bananas, right? Totally bananas.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't do anything with ecosystem services, right? Like it's not saying like, yeah, the farmers in Deerfield, they're growing food. We're protecting the watershed, the Connecticut watershed. Oh, they're sequestering carbon. Oh, look, there's all this biodiversity. So I think we have to have a hard and strong conversation about what we're doing out here for Massachusetts. Yeah. And this commission will be one of the places that we can do that.
That'd be helpful.
So when you think about like, so there's the direct spending like chapter 70, chapter 90, there's the grant spending where we're pushing on all the algorithms. There's the service program service spending like RTAs. I just want you to know that we're pushing in all of those areas because, you know, we say a lot out here, oh, Boston doesn't listen to us, but in fact, it's really baked into structural inequities.
Right.
And if we push on all of those and ask for good administration, we can see some movement.
Yeah.
So, and the last I'll just say is we've been aware that we are very underrepresented in boards and commissions statewide. And we've been, some of our seats are just haven't gone filled. So the delegation did join forces to fill 5 court seats, which the governor was good about hearing from us and making those, prioritizing those appointments. But we're also really working with Krista Elko, who's another unbelievable, you know, gift to us out here to really get more Western Mass leaders and voices. So this, could be another place for Deerfield, just to say, Deerfield folks, you give so much, this town is humming along. Do you want to serve on a statewide border commission? And they could contact me, they could contact Natalie, and I could get them into the governor's office. And Kristen's being really good by saying, hey, we have a couple of openings here, but I think we should reverse that pipeline, right? I think we should push it to the governor's office.
Yeah.
And she's allowing a lot of these to be remote now, so you don't have to schlep all the way out to Boston. And so it's not a full day commitment, like it has been, and that's really hard. Not all of them have gone to the 21st century, but
Right.
a lot have.
Yeah.
These are some advances that are bringing us closer to equity, closer to, getting Boston to see us out here in a fuller sense.
That's great. Great. I'm excited about the east-west rail stuff. Most of my days in the Berkshires, I travel down A1 out Pike, or I'm up Route 2 and then down 7. I cover that whole area, and I say you're on the Pike every day. I'm almost every day I'm traveling out there. Just that from Westfield to Lee, there's just no off-ramp. And there was just some way to get people. I mean, the land is much more valuable. It's beautiful. It's such a gorgeous place, all throughout Western Mass. But if we could just draw some of that, if it was easier for people, it is definitely easier with broadband infrastructure that we've done. But just to get people to see us out here when we travel up here, just to drive some business and economic development out this way would be helpful. If you could just hop a train in. Yeah.
Right, it's like a
And diving.
Yeah, no, I totally am with you. And I think, the governor and the lieutenant governor understand our concerns about population decline. They understand that our schools are hemorrhaging students, and our economies need taxpayers, and towns need tax revenue.
And we can drain on them if not. Like, it's not like we go away completely. There's still, we just become a drain instead of a positive influence and economic growth.
Exactly. And I think they understand that we just want what's fair.
Yeah.
And we would love to be able to take care of ourselves.
Yes.
More, right? But there's an economy of scale that we do not enjoy here.
Yeah. Sure.
Which is tricky. We have a beautiful place to live, so we don't need to give that up necessarily.
Correct.
And I think we can find that sweet spot.
Yeah. We do.
I read recently, within the last week, about the towns around Quabbin trying to form a union to work collaboratively with Boston to try and bring these issues more in play. And they sort of dovetail with, where the lungs of the Commonwealth, all Berkshires, Franklin County, and Hampton. What can you tell us about that? Is it just?
Sure, they launched a letter yesterday, an open letter to the people of Eastern Massachusetts. So I put it out on social media today. It's the 11 towns that ring the coffin, and they've been meeting ad hoc. Some are representing their select boards, or FinComs, or conservation commissions, or school committees. Some are great environmentalists, and I think what they share is they share this. They get to see they share this beautiful place, right? An exquisite place in the world, but their economies are really frozen. Yeah. And like just the conversation we were having, they're not looking to have skyscrapers in the Quabbin, but they are looking to Boston to say, hey, you guys, like 2.7 million if you drink this water that we sacrifice and safeguard every day. How about a little bit more money?
Yeah.
How about a little bit more say on the boards and commissions? There's on the MWRA, there's no one from, you complete with 0 people from the Quabbin Reservoir, representing the Quabbin on the Massachusetts Water Resources Board. It's pretty awful.
Yeah.
And it's not for lack of trying, I'll tell you. So, so yeah, that's what they're doing, and
Right.
kudos to them.
Yeah. Again, fairness, not that anything
Yes.
more than that.
Exactly, just a fairness proposition.
Yeah. So, a couple things maybe, one thing I would bring up, I just thank you and Natalie for your help with, DOT, and, we have, kind of dragged our feet a bit, just waiting for some technical data on infrastructure.
We're talking about Sugarloaf Park.
Sugarloaf Park,
Oh,
yes, Sugarloaf
I
Park.
have it next time I live.
Oh, good,
We're
good.
going, yeah, go, let's do it.
So we're just, we're looking to develop a common, and we were so grateful to learn about the earmark, in the transportation, I think it's in the transportation bill.
Yeah.
For some money to help with that infrastructure, because that was kind of laying the groundwork before we didn't really have a way or a mechanism for DOT to have some money to kind of develop that area. We have got some grant money to do, Elm Street, and we're waiting, and our CPA has been kind of frustrated with the town common committee because we've had money earmarked for several years, but just have been in this deadlock with DOT about where to do crosswalks and what's the smart development of the area. So I'm grateful for your leadership and help to facilitate a meeting. Alex and Chris have been working, and Greg been working on getting some of that technical data, what's under the road.
And that was the big thing, right? You
Yeah,
guys didn't want to own it if you didn't know it
Right.
over there.
yeah,
The great D2 said, well, we can't tell you the entire thing.
yes.
And you wanted to know the entire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had a grant, to do some asset management plans, so that was good for our, wastewater and sewer. So at least we got some of that data, we're waiting for engineer to kind of compile that, give that to us, and then we'd love to just set up another meeting at some point in spring to kind of say, here's what we got, here's what we think we could do, how could we pull all this together and just finish off downtown for that. That would be wonderful to have that help.
I think I probably messed up when we finished this too.
You too.
So let's do it. Let's do
Yeah,
it. I think
that's
we
great.
should, unlike going there, I think we should have them come here because
Yeah.
it's like snazzy setup.
Sure.
And then we can walk right over
Absolutely.
and
Well,
really look at the
Yeah.
crosswalks,
And-
you know.
Alex did, secure a grant through, FERCog. We just found out about the.
Yeah,
Park Street project.
Right, so FERCog got, they had a grant to basically look at, doing paint barricades, things like that, to temporarily close off Park Street, just to do kind of a, test of what, it would look like if that's the way our roadways worked here, so.
So we're gonna kind of see how that goes and see what kind of judge around the construction of Elm Street. What does it look like for traffic flow, and would it benefit us to kind of have a bigger common area and close off park, or is it just doesn't really make sense and we look bad and study the traffic? So that'll happen, I think, in a year. And do that, and but we need to have those conversations with DOT and say, okay, well, that's where we're gonna talk with this. I'm sure they've been involved with some of the things since we've got the grant, but yeah, it'd be great to just have another meeting and kind of talk about those issues, and we have they've been a wonderful partner on Stillwater, so that's moving ahead.
Yes.
And then they've been starting to work on the North Main Street Bridge. So I know they took off the top layers and stuff, and curious to get an update from them. Just kind of another meeting update on what they're working on and where they're going. And
Yeah.
I know they studied a rotary or intersection improvements on Mill Village Road, 5 and 10. North Main Street, so, yeah, just a couple things to hit on with that, it's always great to have you there, a great advocate for us.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So
Sounds good.
depending on,
The data,
you want to reach out to Jesse when you
yeah,
have everything done, or?
Yeah, and have, I'll touch base with Alex, I know she's been in touch with Matt Minahan over at District 2, so we'll find time.
Yeah, and Jesse from our team, is filling in for Elena, and then she can do the scheduling for us.
Wonderful.
And we'll do any part of that, so you just tell us what you want,
thank you.
and then I would like to come.
Yeah.
And I think naming these projects,
Yeah.
like, so that we can be, I know the big one is Sugarloaf.
Yeah. But yeah, get on the others and make sure we're giving them what they need. Yeah.
Good, okay.
Not really, no. One of the things that, I don't know if the school commission's thinking about these things, and I assume it must be. One of the problems about declining enrollment is we have various different school types that compete with each other for a dwindling number of students. So they're looking at a new technical school that's gonna get built at $50 to $60 million. Then we have the charter schools, then we have, the very individual elementary schools that are in our small towns. That's another element, structural element, I think that particularly rural communities that we need to look at when we reopen this funding source. Because school choice gives us a third of what we actually expend to educate students, so. I don't know if you've had any discussions about this, Greg.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is great for life right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you're totally right? We have a dwindling number of students. I mean, we have to pay attention to population overall.
Yeah.
This is an existential crisis,
It
right?
is.
We build and develop or we die out here.
Yeah.
I mean, we can do it smartly to
Mhm.
protect our way of life, but that's it. There's like zero choice, I
Right.
think, friends, you know,
Yeah.
you're the person who works for you.
Yeah.
And so like, I think about population every day, all the time. Like, that's the operating theme of our office
Yeah,
Is-
representation.
is, right, it'll erode democracy.
Yeah.
Right, we lost a congressional seat with John Oliver, we lost a House seat this year, this redistricting
Right.
in Western Mass for the state.
Yeah.
We almost lost a Senate seat, but we fought like hell. We just erodes our ability to work free.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But then there's the whole money thing. But you're right, Jim, in terms of population, this Greg talks about a lot, right? We have a dwindling number of students. We all fight over them. And I think, this is me, maybe I'm like, every problem looks like a nail, right? With that thing.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, like, I think the state has a lot of responsibility. And the rural schools bill that Natalie and I have has a whole passage on an office within DESI that looks at declining population and really the collisions. And in the chapter 7, in the foundation budget review, I think we have to talk about things like charter impact
Yeah.
and charter school impact.
Mhm.
Because I always believe that families should send their kids where they think they should go, but I do think the state has a responsibility to make it work.
Absolutely. It cannibalizes
You
so
know,
many
it's
different.
just true.
It was supposed to develop best practices and then kind of come back to the districts and has just that the cost is, just there's unlimited, cost for a charter school, and yet local schools can't, they keep the money to educate a child there versus in district. And then pull all, a lot of bright kids out and you're left with.
Well, the issue with charters, right, is that sometimes they don't have the same kind of special education services. They can't offer transportation, so there's an economic barrier. I should say to this, I have filed a charter school bill. I late filed it, and I late filed it because it's really hard to understand how to enter this system, with a scalpel.
Right.
Because these are kids and families and teachers, administrators who, doing their work, so how do you go in there and tweak? And I'm very proud of the bill.
Mhm.
I think we have to have a bigger conversation through a foundation budget review commission,
Right.
but I'm gonna throw everything I have at this, and so there's a charter school bill. That also made it out favorably.
Right.
It's in Ways and Means, and one of the things that it would do is, one of the areas that I think is the most difficult for towns is, as you know, Deerfield doesn't just send charters the pass-through foundation
Mhm.
budget, it sends whatever you pay above foundation.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's difficult. So this makes that above foundation the state's
That
responsibility.
was wonderful.
As one one of the levers to pull.
Yeah.
Because then it actually costs the town rather than just that child making that decision. And it's like, okay, that child's going.
Yeah.
At Deerfield taxpayer money goes there along with state money.
Right,
And I think the state pays.
yeah,
The child
Agreed.
made that decision, the state pays.
there'll be a huge change.
It would,
Would help us.
yeah, I don't have the figure for Deerfield, but
Yeah.
I did run all of the numbers and it would be real money.
Yeah,
Thank you for the information.
yeah, that's good to know.
Well, it's, we have to get it through.
One bit at a time.
Yeah. And then there's a bunch of other stuff which we don't have to talk about now, but maybe when we meet, we could do a little conversation on, there's line clearing projects that are happening. I want you to know
Yep.
I'm really engaged in them,
Right,
with FERCog, with PVPC.
Yep.
Because they're the National Grid and, Eversource line clearings are
yeah,
pretty big. We
They
want
are.
to have an Eversource meeting.
okay,
There was a National Grid meeting that conflicted actually with something.
okay,
We had an event already scheduled, so
yeah,
I wasn't able to go, but I think I might be organizing the Eversource meeting.
okay,
And it's just an opportunity for townsfolk to come, Conservation Commission.
Yeah.
Whoever, to come and ask questions of Eversource.
right. Because they plan to widen some and then some, I think some of them are like 150 feet or something like that.
Yeah.
Feet of yards, but I know in some areas they're gonna get wider.
They're gonna, some of it is clearing within the existing line.
Yeah.
Some of it is widening,
Yeah,
and then it's just a huge swath.
it's a lot of land.
And, we've had multiple meetings now with NEPA, the Massachusetts Environmental Protection, and we're saying, what? Do you ever think about stacking these two? Because if NGrid and Eversource are in the region doing this, it's not just one project, it's now two. And
Right,
they're cutting up the entire valley. And so what responsibility do we have as a state to understand the combined
Mhm.
problems
right,
for wildlife, for residents,
yeah,
so we're asking all of those questions along with planning agencies.
Yes.
Excellent.
What the finances look like the state at the moment? Just curious what the revenue they're seeing and,
Yeah, so we had what's called a consensus revenue hearing. And that officially kicks off budget season.
Right.
And there are, so you probably know, I should have actually worked this in, I had it in my outline, I didn't say it, Trevor. We finished 2025 with sort of a squeaker.
Yeah.
It was actually shocking, how close we were.
Yeah.
It's not a great thing, but we paid our bills.
Yep.
2026, our revenue doesn't look terrible, but it's important for us all to understand that between the time the governor filed fiscal year 26 last January and the time we sent it to her last June, we cut $1 billion from the budget. It wasn't something we wanted to cut,
right,
but it was because we saw what was happening with
Yeah.
the federal bill and Medicaid, SNAP, heating, all these things that we know have unfortunately come to some sort of fruition or
Yeah.
continuing fresh threats. So, so the budget, the overall amount of the budget is less this year than it was last year. And that's pretty horrible, right?
Yeah.
When you think about the cost of inflation on towns and
Right.
people. So, I generally, what people said during the consensus revenue, which is where we listen on Ways and Means, we listen to smart people.
yeah.
What
What the tax rate,
yeah.
how much was flowing in, yeah,
So generally, folks think that our economy will grow, Massachusetts economy will grow about 2%, which is slow,
but I'll take
Okay.
that compared to,
the problem is that we have a large percentage of our budget that comes in from federal revenue.
right,
And, it's about 16 billion-ish, can go up to 20, and that's a lot of money in a $61 billion budget.
right,
And so that's in flux. The other thing that's in flux, and the government will make some decisions here. I hope she makes the one that I want, but the federal bill also has a revenue provision that would would limit our revenue by about $665 million. So give back to the wealthiest.
All right.
And it's unfortunate, you know, so we can decouple from that. We can say we don't want that revenue provision. You know, the governor, she's certainly heard from numbers of people. She's
Yeah,
heard from me
Right.
on this, and the A&F secretary, you know, with my interest in this. Many states have already decoupled.
yeah,
I think we should decouple.
Right.
We shouldn't take the hit, because we're gonna take other federal hits.
yeah. Well, it's hostile. It's a hostile administration towards any state that's run by Democratic, you know, administration.
We certainly are paying some prices, but this is a cut that would happen in, you know, in all states in the union.
Right.
So this is a long answer to your very short question, which is, I don't imagine very much growth.
Right.
I think our job as a legislature is to figure out where to grow.
Right.
So for example, UGA,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
we know that UGA hasn't kept pace.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure you've read the Mass Municipal Association, RFI report. I'll actually follow this up. I'll send you a memo
Thank
that I sent to Ways and Means instead of President and the Governor. I distilled it because I felt like I just wanted to pack a little bit more of a punch. And when you distill it, it's horrifying, even more horrifying, when you look at it. So, you know, I just said we need to focus on UGA, rural aid, minimum aid.
Yeah.
And we have to pass some policy provisions, you know, like those in the rural schools bill, like,
Yeah.
and then in there, you know, we have to pass pilot, so the more of the more comes where it should go.
Yeah.
Right, and we have to rethink UGA.
Yeah.
Right, we have to open up UGA.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that's in there, in the governor's budget. If not, it should be in the Senate's budget, you know, where we say, why again, what is this? We give this out like we do every year. Why are the wealthiest communities getting, actually, frankly, any money? Right? Now, I know they all put in, but,
Sure.
you know, if we're really gonna level the playing field, how do we do that with limited resources?
Yeah.
So, I think it's gonna be tight,
Yeah.
super tight.
Yeah.
And scary. And I hope we make some good decisions that prioritize the well-being of people in municipalities.
Yeah. Thank you for your fight on that. Yeah.
Yeah, and any, you know, once you see the governor's budget, I'd love your thought. I'm sure MMA and STAM
Yeah, before the end of the month.
will tell us what they think, and then we'll have all these Ways and Means hearings,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
One thing that you don't need to really respond heavily on is, we know we're going through a health insurance crisis. And from the federal government, so abdicating responsibility for that. So what's Massachusetts thinking?
Yeah. So I will say, so you're right, like there's the Medicaid piece,
Mhm.
and we think that with the bill, we'll lose about 300,000 people off Medicaid. That's a huge amount. That'll just have a negative impact on hospitals and treatment centers. People who lose their health insurance, right? They're not just not getting sick, just not gonna get to pay for it. And then you're talking about the exchanges, subsidized healthcare, the sort of for the working middle class.
Yeah.
You know, that is not a price tag that Massachusetts can pay. We're gonna, I'm sure,
Help.
and we have leaned in on Medicaid rather, Mass Health. You know, I'm hoping that Congress comes through on this, because it is really dire for our families.
Yeah.
And then the legislature has taken some pains. Could we do more? 1,000%. But we have taken some pains to do prescription drug affordability. We've done a whole mental health care bill. We've done reproductive care, enshrined that, and we're going to tackle primary care.
That's
You know, which is huge for us up here.
Yes.
And we are really leaning into hospitals, especially rural hospitals and community health centers. So in that, we're somewhat in the room for other questions, Tim, but you know, the bigger question is how do people and how do municipalities and entities afford the healthcare? And
You know, go about 20%, then another 20% all 1 year, mid-year, you know, it's a bit rough for the municipalities with the trust.
HCGIT, yeah. And Deerfield is staying, right?
If it's still there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think we're working with other communities to look at other options available. Yeah, that we were not among the communities that signed up for the GIC.
Yeah, so the you know, I did eventually see that list, yeah. I mean, the delegation did what, I wish we could have done more, but we did what we could do to, you know, both get GIC to be at the table and Division of Revenue, Division of Insurance. But it's a really very dire situation. You know, again, it's like it was that weird thing where all of a sudden it was affecting 73 member units, many of them in my district, and yet it's a private entity.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So, you know, it's a
Step in, right,
well, we could, you know,
Yeah.
it was impossible for us to
right,
fund a private entity
Yeah.
from public funds like that, but,
Right.
even if they were municipal, if
Yeah.
the costs were going to be larger municipalities, but there's nothing fun in there, and I'm sure the executive committee of HCGIT thought there was nothing fun.
Right.
But I understand there's a new consultant,
yes,
we're meeting with them. So I am,
it's also frightening.
the whole thing, let me know, you know,
Yeah.
I'm still pretty plugged in, it's like, you
Mhm.
know, sometimes you don't want legislators so plugged in on like private matters,
Understood.
right?
Yeah,
And I know that folks have a lot of feelings, right? They have a lot of feelings about like, why did you bail us out?
Mhm.
I mean, there's so many
Really?
private things that we
Yeah.
could bail out or we should bail out, but this is public money. And then
Yeah.
they really did, I think they wanted us to have more things to say about other options.
Yeah.
We just, you know,
Okay,
we didn't, the only lever we could pull was making GIC come to the table,
right,
to talk and to be useful.
yeah,
The Hill administration did do those technical assistance. I don't know if you participated in any of them. Those were, they were hard and they were late, and, you know, in the game, and it was, you know, it was a hard moment.
I don't think it's over.
It's not, no, I don't think it's over either.
Have to keep a positive attitude,
That's right,
laugh when you can laugh.
That's right.
We'll get through it.
yeah,
Well, I mean, it's hard for towns, right? I know it's hard to absorb for Deerfield, and you've seen, I mean, we've seen many other communities also try for overrides or
yeah,
things like that, and, it's been very, 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 very disruptive.
for sure. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you.
and coming. All the work you do for us, and so it's a wonderful partnership, and very grateful for you and all your staff, and Natalie and her staff.
We are grateful for you. Really, I can tell you, like, seeing the library and thinking about all the things happening with the library and seeing the senior center, and,
Working on something there, and, yeah, I think, when we move along a little bit on that, we'd love if the state had some support for our seniors as far as regional senior centers. Grateful for what we've done. We're trying to
yeah,
tackle that.
$100,000 earmark.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. It helps, you know, move things along, and, yeah, so we're really trying to find a home for our seniors, and, it's just a lot to tackle, but, yeah.
It's a lot, and you do it really, I mean, really, the Tri-County is really beautiful. I will say that, I didn't talk about this, but I'm sure MMA and Stanmar, the Municipal Empowerment Act, the governor's good bill,
Yeah,
you know, I hope we do it.
yes,
I was bummed we didn't do it last session, and if we do it, it should have a municipal building built in there,
that's right.
right, that Natalie and I filed. You think I don't file any bills, but I do work with her all the time.
Yeah, how it's better.
So it's better.
Yeah.
So I will be trying to jam that in there.
That's
So
great, thank you.
if you see that come to the floor.
Yes.
And Deerfield wants to go put the municipal building bill in.
Thank you.
That would be
Okay.
a way that there would be capital funds for,
Yes.
a senior center.
Yeah.
We just have to get it done. It's one of the largest things we've heard
Yeah.
from a municipal empowerment
Yeah.
standpoint.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you.
Thank you, friends.
Thank you
Now,
so much.
Can I just add one thing?
Yeah.
Just end on a positive note, which is, because we've worked together a lot on education. And I will say that you have, between her and Natalie, you have two representatives that couldn't be working any harder for the education in this area. And also just to say that Frontier, with all the impacts of declining enrollment, Frontier, I think, is been impacted probably the least out of all the districts in this area. But that's a kind of a testament to the school district you have. So I think that's kind of a positive thing for Deerfield.
For sure.
So, I mean, it's not necessarily the case with other districts, and everyone's different, but,
Yeah, we're grateful for,
we're just very lucky to have them working for us.
absolutely, and Darius,
Period.
So,
Yeah.
Darius is a great,
and Shelley.
great superintendent.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Very lucky.
You're right, you're right. The Frontier is really quite special. I spoke to classes there, with a teacher, Jason, who's a friend of mine. And,
Oh,
I love going there. And every time I'm there, I'm like, it's like a vibrant, happening place.
it is.
And the elementary schools that feed into it are beautiful,
They are.
so yeah, I agree with you. It's there's a lot of good here, including the school system.
Also, just put a plug in for your 517, 314 bills for education and the rural districts. They're right.
Oh my God, you have those now?
Oh, I have those numbers, yeah. Well, I read them a lot, and I think everybody should read them because they're really
They're
good,
really good.
great bills, so.
Yeah, but the Senate one is in Ways and Means. I don't know where Matt's is, but, we have to get it done. I have a farm bill for farmers, as I think you guys know now, that I have an agriculture bill, which would be a game changer for our people here,
Yeah.
especially Deerfield.
Yes.
And in rural schools.
Yeah.
It is education, we have got to crack it. We have not cracked it, but certainly have to get it.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you so
Have
much.
a wonderful night. Thank you.
Drive safe.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I will, I guess we'll open it up for public comment. If anybody has any comments they'd like to hit on before we get rolling. Meeting. Anyone online or in the audience? If not,
Is that just open up the whole night?
is there anything you want? Anything you'd like? Yeah, just come on up to the mic and state your name and what your comment is. Just so everybody online will get recorded. Welcome.
It's Jason Clark, 81 North Main.
Thank you.
I was going back to where you guys were talking about the park earlier, about possibly shutting down Park Street there. I don't know, what's the timeline for that, when you guys are planning for that?
So, and I'll just clarify, so this is a grant that, FERC got, so the town did not get the grant. At this point, I was just speaking with Alex, our planner, about it. We don't anticipate any of that work being done this year, which is a good thing, given that we're, going to be working on Elm Street this summer. So likely, we're looking at some point next year.
Okay, the only thing I was gonna say with that is, before you were to do any traffic studies, there or along North Main Street or anything, it'd probably be a good idea to wait till that bridge is done. Because there's gonna be a substantial change in the traffic flow.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I think fair point. And
Yeah, that's all. So,
Thank you. Thank you for your comment. Anything else? Jump in, no? Okay, let's see, so next, select board reports and announcements. I will just kind of state, I went to the, we had a Franklin County emergency preparedness meeting today. It was gonna be at TCC, but it got moved to, FERCog, and it was a tabletop exercise on, the intersection of public health in emergencies, and kind of an the scenario was an ice storm hitting the Northeast, and kind of who tackles what and where, just kind of brought to light a few of the things that we need to kind of update our center plan on it. And John, our emergency management, Chief John Church, is our emergency management director. He, in September, had updated our scent plan, but we will need to, kind of fill that out a little bit more based on this meeting and tabletop exercise, about 3 hours, and we went over kind of what happens, who does what, who's responsible for what, and so that's part of our scent plan, and we can kind of work on that, update that, and then I thought of working with the nurses to kind of just get names of people that, you know, if they're on oxygen or need a generator or something like that for their well-being or their health. Just periodically we get a name of who needs what and special needs. So if something happens, you know, that they need to be picked up or moved to a shelter or something like that. So, so we'll work on that in the future. But it was a good exercise. Good to see. It was a good turnout. Anything else? Anybody? Yeah.
Couple of good things. Christopher might talk about this a little later, but the 1888 Building Advisory Committee got an opportunity to walk through the project as it's progressed. It's about 4 months along, and everybody came away very pleased with the amount of progress that's occurred. The interior of the original building is largely, the upstairs second floor is largely sheetrock, and all of the electrical and IT and air handling equipment's largely in place, the water, the fire suppression systems. And next week, they'll be finishing up the first floor that's with the blown in insulation, and then finishing up the sheetrock. The new building is the elevator shaft has now been re-engineered to accommodate the new elevator that they want to install, and they should be putting the trusses up in the next week or two, sealing it up. We're in the process of looking for bids from local solar contractors to take care of that piece of it. So still on track for September, early October, hopefully moving in there. And then I handed this off to Christopher and Greg, but the local farmers are interested in talking with the town about the impact of immigration policy on their ability to hire workers, and so talking about possibility, really getting a forum where local farmers come and talk to us about what they're seeing, and so more on that as it develops, if we can pull it off before the farmers get too busy to come talk.
Let's see, there's an item under Board of Health. I've just hit on a couple of Board of Health things that just, you know, everybody gets sick right now. So protect yourself as best you can, wash your hands, all that good stuff we've all learned. But I know that there's some tusses going around, and flu is just off the charts. So just, you know, if you're feeling ill, just make sure you're hydrating and all of that. There was an item on here about an odor, burning plastic odor on Main Street.
Yeah,
Any other data on that?
I think, we've had, a couple instances over the last few months of folks in that area reporting things, not a ton. I know, we talked to our DPW super, obviously their building is right there. They certainly haven't experienced any issues. And I did check in with Ned Zabisky area health agent today just to see if there were any additional reports that had come out. So far, nothing. I believe actually Blake had reached out to Orifal just to get it on their radar. So at the moment, it doesn't seem like there's any further action to be taken.
Okay.
But just want to let residents know, we'll keep an eye on it, and certainly if something does come up, we'll reach out.
Right. Yeah, and one of the things that we want to do is there might be some other source for the intermittent issues, and so make sure that we do the proper research to determine, what is actually going on.
Right, thank you. Yeah, it could be a lot of things. The next item is I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of December 17th, 2025. Thank you. David Plus, an item in here. I thought there was an item in here about the first read of the campaign stuff at the transfer station, but I don't see it now. So maybe my packet, I think, was mixed up. Because we were going to talk about it last meeting, but we didn't.
It's, yes, item 7C.
For this meeting.
Yes.
Now,
Oh, you're talking about in the minutes?
yeah. in the
Oh,
minutes.
okay.
I don't think, okay, maybe I missed it, so, or I had it mixed up in my thing, so. Okay, good, because we didn't talk about it, right? Okay, good. All right, so motion and a second, all those.
Oh, before you do that, I did catch one issue.
Okay.
It just says, Maggie Warren, but it was Sarah. Yeah.
Sarah Moore, okay.
Yeah. I didn't notice that. Myers.
Where is that?
That's what I'm curious.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, so we'll take. Okay, thank you. So all those in favor?
Oh, yeah.
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Nice to have one such unit stuff.
Yeah, it's great. Okay, so discussion items, we have, Stillwater Bridge taking, supposed to be scheduled for February.
Yeah. Yep, so, all the way back in October, I think MassDOT let us know they were ready for us to move forward with the actual takings that town meeting authorized the select board to do as part of the Stillwater Bridge project. And then right before we were about to, they said, well, pull the brakes, we actually have some environmental work that we still need to wrap up. So they said, kick it to January, same thing. So we're still waiting on MassDOT. They are still fairly confident they can advertise for the project in February. And some of these items will just be noted in that, bid solicitation, essentially saying they're not wrapped up, but they will be. So expect to see that on the agenda probably in February.
That's great. So they plan to go out for bid soon.
Yes,
And,
yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And the, Article 97 piece, we didn't get a chance to mention it with the senator, but that is before Ways and Means. It was favorably reported, so hopefully we're nearing the end of that process as well.
Sounds good. So now we're at the first reading of the transfer station nonprofit charitable and political group solicitation policy. So I think this came about of, kind of anytime we have an election coming up, everybody descends on the transfer station, this local watering hole for discussing candidates or any other issue. And I think that people running the department, kind of running the transfer station, trying to do their job, kind of had some questions like, hey, who runs this? Who authorized this? What's going on? So I think the idea is to kind of have a first reading of a policy, and I think the administration's work with DPW superintendent to kind of say, okay, what's safe, what's not, what should we do, what's the policy around this, to be fair to everybody, because it is kind of like the old Jerry's place, everybody goes to kind of talk about what's going on in town, and it's a place to kind of capture people's attention of what might be coming up, or everybody just talks at the transfer station. So we wanted to make a policy that was fair and it allowed people to kind of talk about their issue without impeding what's going on as people are trying to just do the day-to-day dropping off their recycling or whatever. So I'll just read through this, and there's a map along with this too. So the policy on use of transfer station for solicitations by profit charitable and political groups. So,
And I would just mention, this is something Matthew pulled together just for the board's consideration, and he's fully expecting that we'll have
the revision.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first item here is permission must be granted by a select board vote. The second was no person or groups are allowed on the premises except during normal operating hours. Makes sense. all activities must be confined to the designated area, that's the attached designated area diagram, and that's one area where I think will change. There's one spot that's good, but you kind of can't pack everything into one thing. So I think there does need to be, maybe a section over on the right, that it would be out of the way and safe, so that people can come in and do their thing if they don't want to deal with anything, but there is a safe area to set up a table, there, instead of just the one exit, because that one triangle there, it's hard to pack. A lot of times it's two different campaigns that are talking to people and they're trying to put them both in that one spot. It's just too narrow and probably not safe. So maybe there and another spot, but people to talk about what makes sense there too. And then no one less than 18 years of age on premises without being accompanied by an adult, that safety kind of thing. At no time does any person or group to enter the roadway or impede flow of traffic. Vehicles must stop by choice. All persons and groups must always act in a courteous and professional manner. Any group or individual must leave immediately when requested by a grantor or any other duly authorized town or self-field fire district personnel. I don't know where that came from. That's kind of weird. I'm not. Police, fire, superintendents, authorized staff. I don't know where that came from. That's a weird sentence. So, any idea?
We'll talk to Matt about cleaning up. I think the intention there was just to make sure that, emergency personnel and, the DPW can tell people like, yeah, when we want, yeah.
Yeah, totally fine.
Certainly could use some cleaning up. Yeah.
Yep. So it is to use at one's own risk, guarantee will hold the town harmless in case of an accident or injury. Every person in the group that will be on the transfer station property site shall be required to provide a signed town of Deerfield release waiver. So there's a waiver along with it. We can go over to. If the event involves requesting signatures, they should be collected by residents on the way out as they exit the facility. Maybe we could talk about that a little bit too, because I don't really want to hold traffic up from, because if we're only in that one spot, I know that's where people stand. So maybe like on the other side where it's an open area, people could come over there for signatures if they wanted instead of,
Yeah, I think Matthew had envisioned it as sort of a drive-through situation where people on their way out around the back of the salt shed are, they're driving right past and on the driver's side, they can reach out and sign things, but
it's a one lane.
Yeah,
and
right.
You're backing up too much traffic. I think if people want to get out and sign something, we should park over a bigger parking spot, but we could talk about that too. Let's see. If the event, I already talked about it. And then the form must be posted during the event. So you would just have this, have a form kind of saying you got a vote from the select board to do this kind of thing. So we should talk about how that works.
Right, and this is largely, in addition to campaigns, it's largely to allow people who, like John Detroit Senior was out gathering Second Amendment signatures for a state petition, and just want to make sure that we give clarity to the transfer station staff that they have a signature, they can do this, because there's been confusion before where certain groups are asked to leave, and other people are not asked to leave, and so this way we take that confusion away from the DPW staff. They'll be notified when the group arrives. We have this select board authorization for this day, for this time.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the staff are interested in doing, is just having clarity.
And yeah, and I'm kind of interested in like, it's the one place that I get the want to be kind of like right where all the recyclables are and everybody's kind of coming through there. But I kind of feel like if you were over on the side, it allows people to come to you. You have plenty of signs that direct, but we're not like, Joe Schmo, if there was a Second Amendment thing or a, you know, a balloon ban, you know, they're not just like getting everybody to do the signature, interrupt people's flow.
Absolutely, yeah, it should be like,
Designated area.
we're here to talk about this issue. If you're interested, come see us,
Come see us.
rather than out of the other area.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so that's first meeting, we'll get to that.
Great, so I'll convey those comments to Matthew. We're gonna have a meeting with him on Friday morning anyway, so we'll talk through some of those items and come back to this when we meet next.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you for that. So we have a couple sewer abatements here, but I think that,
Well, I would say my recommendation is to pass over the first one. It's really for, just to have you look, the 125% automatic abatement had already kicked in, so they actually have received an abatement. I don't think they knew that, but it's just to show you that they actually have done some work on it. And so hopefully in the future, they won't be, you know, upwards of 60,000. Their use.
do we know how much their abatement was already? And
Yeah, it's listed up, Bill. You can see the, basically,
previous balance is the abatement?
so the minus, yeah.
Oh, it's
eight,
Something,
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's the abatement down to 125%, which everybody gets.
Yeah.
It's over that 125%, so.
and it would be anything over the previous 23 that was it. I just wonder what the regular bill was monthly.
Yeah, you can see in the history, going back, it would have been something that 23 to
Right.
25,000.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
So they've been abated,
Right.
through the automatic, and I think the important thing is that they had it fixed so that it's not gonna. hit
yeah,
them.
exactly, they'll go back to their normal meeting. Okay, that's fine.
It can be just deemed denied by not paying any action.
Yeah, I think we would.
I think we get money if you try to.
Right.
So.
Doesn't make sense. And then the other one is for, property at Gatewood Ave, but the only thing on here is the minimum usage because the building's not in use at the moment, so that's what everybody pays, whether they use or not use. So I don't have a way to weight that. I think that, you know, I think the only other option is to, you know, have the property used or you know, take down property, I don't know, one of the two, but that's the reason we have usage fee is because that, you know, having sewage to a building, provides value to that property. And that's why we have a minimum usage charge and a sewer connection charge. And there's nothing charged above that, so, okay. So,
Okay, not to take action on that.
yeah, I'm not gonna, motion to not take action.
I'll second it.
Very nice. There's an extended contract with Christopher Curtis, through June 30th, 2026, and if I understand this right, it's because he just, has some deliverables that he's waiting on. Correctly, from
It's just a timing issue.
Timing issue.
Yeah, we could-
Okay.
Any more funds to be distributed to them, it's just to let them.
Yep. And, there's nothing to sign, just all we would do is,
Vote to authorize the.
okay, so. So I move the select board approve the extensions of a contract with Christopher Curtis for municipal vulnerability preparedness action grant and grant coordination services through June 30th, 2026 as presented, and then further, to authorize the town administrator to sign.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
GI.
Joe McDaniel, aye. Do you want to vote on this email? It looks like there's a motion to.
There is a motion, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So,
Didn't realize it this time.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, I know we talked about it, but didn't vote it. So, I move the pursuant to the vote taken on Article 6 of the special town meeting held on October 29th, 2025. I move the select board establish a permanent protection of land located on Steam Mill Road, Deerfield, Massachusetts. And as shown on the town of Deerfield Assessor's Map 79, Lot 39, including 31 acres more or less, whose deed is recorded at Book 731, page 32 of the Franklin County Registry of Deeds, for the exclusive purpose of conservation as town forest in accordance with Article 97 of the amendments to the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and further move that the select board enter into and negotiate all necessary and related documents, subject to such restrictions as limitations as the select board deems appropriate in order to effectuate the permanent protection of said parcel accordingly. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Gianni,
Jeremy Daniel, aye. Then we have the 1821 Meeting House steeple repair community preservation funding application letter of support. We had put this in, so we support it, I think. So I'll make a motion. I move the select board approve and sign the letter of support for the Community Preservation Act application for the 1821 Meeting House clock tower restoration and reuse engineering report.
second,
Thank you. Any further discussion? Talk about it at all? Okay. All those in favor?
Gianni.
Jeremy Daniel, aye.
I would say that the exterior painting projects that we undertook earlier have highlighted the need for continuing to work on that.
Keep going with the sky. Yep. That looks good. The building looks good. So keep going. And then I also, I'm so thankful that Matthew had worked on this. There's a cemetery fee increase proposal pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 114, Section 15. I move the select board approve the cemetery plot fee increase from $350 to $650 per plot effective July 1st, 2026, as recommended by the Department of Public Works. Second for discussion. So, I am so grateful that he's working on this, because if anybody saw the maps, so this money, these lot prices are very low. We've looked around, and they're anywhere from $2,500 a lot, which is a lot. To average is about $1,000 a lot. So we're still well below that, but the revenue really needs to be funneled towards digitizing the maps and kind of maintaining our space. So we really need to get that done. If anyone saw the actual blueprint and the writing here and there and scratch over, and yeah, it's amazing that I'm just grateful that's going to be taken care of. So I'm looking forward to this.
Again, I'm supposed to say that state laws changed over the years about what amount of space you actually need to put a casket in the ground. My wife's family ran into this in Turner's, where they had a plot for 5 family members. Turned out that the law changed and that they didn't have any room to put in a 5th casket, and so needed to have someone cremated. So we definitely need to find out the parcels that have been assigned, whether they still meet state requirements.
Yeah. We have just a lot of cemeteries all over the place. So I'm really great to get that done. So,
I was just gonna add, well, we're happy that Matt's doing it, because the alternative was gonna be a board of oversight booth for the cemetery, and we thought maybe they'd have to meet on Halloween.
all right. All those in favor?
LGI.
Jeremy Daniel, aye. All right. Let's see. So two feathers class 2 dealer's license. So I'll make this motion for discussion. I move the select board approve the class 2 dealer's license for 2 feathers, subject to all applicable local and state requirements.
for discussion.
Thank you. This is later than normal, and
Yeah, I think if you want to amend it to retroactively, I think it's just, we've had a couple that, he was having difficulty with the permit so we had to actually get online with him and walk him through it. And, I mean, we're comfortable with.
but everything's
Hey, yeah, he's
Okay.
filled everything,
Okay.
he's got all the insurance, everything's all set, so it's just a matter of, just.
getting it through the system.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new system, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. All those in favor?
GI.
Chairman McDaniel, aye. All right. We do not have any board applications, general appointments, resignations. We can talk to you a little bit today, and you're gonna get on it. We're gonna talk about our cultural resource officer, kind of been vacant for a while, and somebody interested in that. Talk about that at some point in the future. Administrator updates.
Yeah, I mean, these updates have already been provided in some places, but, you know, so you've got a copy of the notice from USDOT and from FERCog about the grant they received from Park Street, which we've already discussed quite a bit tonight. One other item that kind of relaying on behalf of Alex, she got some technical assistance to do a further assessment of St. James and the rectory, to identify kind of hazardous materials that need to be, you know, abated there. So we did have a kickoff meeting with DEP today, and they're working with Weston Sampson as the consultant on that project. So you can expect to see them poking around the church and taking some samples, and hopefully that'll help us address some of the concerns that we heard when we, you know, put that parcel out to bid for senior housing, and heard back that among the issues that were preventing people from putting forth a proposal was just the possibility that there's some things that need to be abated there. So
Yes.
hopefully that'll give us some sense of that.
Great.
And then, real quick, I did want to mention, we had a meeting with a few of our other fellow towns. This was kind of an initiative Julie Chalfant, the chair of our finance committee, wanted to put together, just basically creating a forum for the other, you know, for Whately, Sunderland, Conway, and their select board and finance committee members to come together with us to chat about the budget. We obviously have several shared services. We have SCAMS, we have the South County Senior Center, we have FCAT, and a few other things. And so we had a great little kickoff meeting for that group back on the 19th. Really productive discussion. And, you know, I forwarded the notes to everyone. So, you know, I think among the major items was just, you know, we're going to try and organize some kind of joint finance select board meetings with all those communities for when we do the SCAMs and South County Senior Center budgets.
Right.
Just so everyone's in the room at the same time.
That's super helpful.
It'll be, I think it'll be efficient, and I think it'll be helpful in a lot of other ways as well. So just wanted to mention that, and we are looking to schedule another meeting. I think it's some point in late January, early February. I can't recall the date off the top of my head, but we'll be coming up soon.
Right. And a couple of things, the FCAT board, cable advisory board, I think so that negotiation is almost complete. Let's see.
Yeah, it's getting there. I do know that we had I don't know if I want to call it a setback, but we did have Eileen Lee, who has left Comcast, who was the government liaison for the negotiation process. So we may have to enter into negotiations with a new person, but a lot of it she was trying to work out at the end of the year here before she left. So I'll have more about that once we have our next meeting. So I think that's gonna be next Friday. So
Yeah, thank you. Okay, that's great. Well, that was a grant. So.
Yeah, that's all I have on my end, unless there are questions from the board on any of the ongoing projects. Oh, what, you know, I did want to mention, actually, Trevor, I got you. So we obviously just did the building advisory committee's walkthrough the 1888 building. Next Friday, we're open to a staff walkthrough, given that now, you know, rooms are kind of, you know, the framing's there, and everyone can see what their space might look like. I did want to invite you, given that you weren't able to attend the building advisory one, so.
That's Friday.
Friday the 16th, and I'm gonna nail down a time, but I'll do it in there. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, okay, great.
And actually, on that front, I will just mention quickly, Greg is doing yeoman's work on pulling together an AV RFQ for that building. So I think we're gonna have really a superior audio visual system for our meeting room. So obviously the right hand for the job over here, so.
One of your
hands.
hands go over budget. I don't want to hear. I can't hear you. Speak out loud.
You don't have to use mic.
Good. Great, okay. Any other business before the board? Entertained motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second that motion, all those in favor?
GI.
Kevin Kenny, aye. Well, wait, that go. Which means.